Minutes of the closed session of the Tom Thompson Art Gallery Advisory Committee meeting held on April 8th, 2019, and one matter regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual respecting a public appointment to the Corporate Services Committee, and direction was provided to staff. So we're at number 4 already of our agenda, calling for additional business. Staff, any additional business?
Thank you, Your Worship. If I could give a brief update on the 2 capital projects that started this week.
Okay. No other staff. Council? Councillor Thomas?
Yes, Your Worship, I'd like to give an update on recent cuts to the Southern Ontario Library Service and the impact they'll have on our local library users.
Okay. Others that way? Seeing none, others that way. Councillor Kepke?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to speak about the Owen Sound Police Service's Polar Plunge and NHL Old-Timer Hockey Game for Special Olympics.
Okay. Deputy Mayor O'Leary?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have 2 items, the Sydenham River cleanup and walk for food and water.
Okay. No one else. I will have one matter that I'm going to talk to that I've been at. So, disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof at number 5. Deputy Mayor O'Leary.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a pecuniary interest in item 12A, as I have shares in that business.
Okay, anyone else? I've got one which is the Operations Committee minutes of April 8th, 2019. At 5A of those minutes, there was a deputation from my neighbors about traffic on my street, so I vacated that meeting, and unless it comes up, if it comes up for discussion, then I'll leave the room, but otherwise, I assume it'll just be presented. Confirmation of council minutes.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Thomas, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on April 15th, 2019 as printed be adopted.
All in favor? That is carried. 6B.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Thomas, that the minutes of the closed session of the regular council meeting held on April 1st, 2019 as printed be adopted.
And all in favor? And that is carried. So down to number 7.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Thomas, the City Council now move into Committee of the Whole to consider public meetings, deputations, and presentations, public question period, matters arising from correspondence, reports of city staff, consent agenda, committee minutes, matters postponed, motions for which notice was previously given, and additional business.
And all in favor? That is carried, so we're now in Committee of the Whole. I failed to mention Councillor Tamming is unable to attend tonight, so that's why his chair is sort of empty, and we've moved around a little bit. So in Committee of the Whole, starting at number 8 in our agenda, we have no public meetings. At number 9, we have a couple of deputations that we look forward to each year. Marion, did I give you those notes? Oh, we do have them. That's lucky. I'm going to go down to the other podium and present. Good evening, councillors, guests, citizens, both here at City Hall and at home. This is a special night that we really look forward to every year. Tonight we are giving out the 2019 Volunteer of the Year award to, you'll hear in a minute. Volunteers provide their time, their insight, and lend a helping hand, all while expecting very little in return. Our city would not be the great community that we have, great community that we live in, without the overwhelming help of so many volunteers. Our Volunteer of the Year award is something we present annually and a very special night that we all look forward to. The work of volunteers in this city is truly remarkable, and we are fortunate to be able to recognize one of the great volunteers tonight. To invite Deputy Mayor O'Leary, who is the chair of the Community Services Committee, to assist me. I note that our 2019 Youth Volunteer of the Year was unable to attend this evening due to prior commitments. We will recognize that youth's efforts in the future. So tonight, we are honored to recognize our 2019 Volunteer of the Year, Joan Hawkesbridge. Joan, if you want to come up. Joan is an Owen Sound City resident, nominated by David Huff at the Tom Thompson Art Gallery. David is here. Ms. Hawkesbridge is in her 50th year volunteering at the gallery. She has been active in many capacities between 1969 and 2019. She's done fundraisers, exhibit preparation, committees, special events, and has curated shows. Joan's passion is art. A professional artist with a studio here in downtown Owen Sound, she believes it is very important to volunteer with an organization that can benefit most from her time. The Art Gallery has very much benefited from her long-term relationship. She was always on the go, spending the majority of her time, when not at the gallery obviously, or in her studio, outdoors, walking, hiking, gardening, and camping. She says, camping is both necessary to my art and a hobby. She has also spent time volunteering with the Art Town Collective and Studio Tour, the Roxy Gallery, Canadian Centre for the Arts, Grey Bruce Crafts Centre, and the Grey County Museum. Our MP Larry Miller and MPP Minister Walker were unable to attend this evening, but have sent their best wishes, along with certificates to show their appreciation. Deputy Mayor O'Leary will present those in a minute. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Council, I'm pleased to join Deputy Mayor O'Leary and I. Please join us in congratulating Joan Hawkesbridge, City of Owen Sound's 2019 Volunteer of the Year. Another clap, and then I think we're going to go to the others after. So, congratulations. Now, if you wish to speak, you may. Yeah, for as long as you want to.
Very short. Well, certainly thank you is necessary, and very much, I very much appreciate the honor that this evening has been looked forward to for a while because of the preparation I had to do, writing little notes to send on to you. So I did know, it wasn't a secret, but it's always, at some point someone said you volunteer without expecting anything in return. And you don't, really. But you do know that some things come your way because you volunteer. You're in the way of things that come your way. And sometimes they're very nice to receive. And this is certainly one of the very, very best. So thank you so much.
So congratulations again. As Mayor, on behalf of Council and the entire community, we appreciate the importance of our volunteers. In a community like ours, we rely on many volunteers like Joan Hawkesbridge to make our city such a great place to live. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize all the individuals in our community who give of their time, and encourage others out there who also have skills and would like to be involved in something to step forward. There's so many different opportunities in our community. Thank you to all of you. Thanks. That's okay. Again, Thank you. So our next deputation is from Jackie Ralph, Canadian Mental Health Association, with regard to Grey Bruce Ride Don't Hide. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear Mayor Body, council members, members of the media, staff members, and Rogers Cable watchers. So my name is Jackie, and I work for the Canadian Mental Health Association Grey Bruce branch. I'm the coordinator of the Youth Awareness and Education team. Thank you so much for letting me speak tonight. There we go. CMHA has been holding Ride Don't Hide since 2014. This year will be our 6th annual Ride Don't Hide event. The ride happens simultaneously across Canada with over 24 communities taking part. In total, we raise about $2 million across Canada for mental health programs and services. But our actual overall goal is to increase awareness of mental health issues, mental illness, and the programs and services available, and to provide a safe, supportive space for people to share their stories and their journeys. Each year for the past 6 years, we've welcomed about 300 cyclists at Kelso Beach. This year, we hope to see 350 cyclists take part. The ride generates approximately $60,000 in revenue, which stays local and supports our non-government funded programs, such as our Garden Project, our ID Clinic, our youth awareness programs, and other mental health and addictions programs. The event offers a course for all level of cyclists. We have a 25K, a 50K, an 80K, 100K, and we have an in-park ride for people who have mobility issues, as well as for our younger families. Starting at Kelso Beach, the ride then goes up Grey Road 1 and takes you out to the Kemba Lookout, and then you go around, you end up at the Little Parquet and Big Bay and Oxenden, and then around Lake Charles. And if you're doing the 100K, you go up the mountain and back down, and then you find your way back to Owen Sound. Each one of the routes has a turnaround point along that way. There are so many partners that help us make this happen. We have partners such as St. John Ambulance, Grey County EMS, Owen Sound Police, Kiwanis Club of Owen Sound, Martin's Bike Shop, Bike Face, Quench Buggy, Gary Byers, Marcy at Justicup. We have a ton of folks that help us do this. And there are more than 60 volunteers that come on the day of the event, which is amazing. The event itself costs $45, and you get a really cool shirt, and you get some food, you get some swag, and every dollar raised on top of that goes directly to our programs and services. But the reason I'm here tonight is to formally say thank you to the City of Owen Sound for all you do for us. It wouldn't be possible without your support. There are so many ways you support us. We use your garbage cans and recycling containers. Our roads workers get up at the crack of dawn to close that lane in and out of the park. We do cross-promotion with social media. We have members that ride as well as speak at the event. We have city staff that help us with permits. Thank you, Andy O'Leary. He's amazing. We use the Owen Sound Police Barbecue. We have our auxiliary officers that come for the event. We use the big A-frame signs. We rent them, as well as our many safety vests you guys offer us, and probably 100 other things I know I am forgetting. But finally, we thank the City of Owen Sound staff for maintaining such a beautiful venue for the event. We have so many people that actually come from out of Grey Bruce to attend the ride, and they keep returning because they love the park, they love the route, and they think we're pretty darn friendly people around here. And it's actually by working together with all the local city services and agencies, first responders and businesses, that we're actually able to hold an event where people are safe to be themselves and feel safe attending no matter what Mother Nature throws at us. By attending, the 300 cyclists, sponsors, staff, and volunteers are all showing their support for the many in our community that may feel that they face mental health challenges alone. Ride Don't Hide is our way of saying that you are never alone. We are here for you, the City of Owen Sound is here for you, and our community is here for you. This last picture is actually a graphic put together by Officer Craig Peddle, our City of Owen Sound Police Services Community Policing Officer. And a couple years ago, we had quite the day, 2017 event. And the picture just showed in such a great way that despite four hailstorms, no rain, no hypothermia, no lightning, no thunder was going to keep our cyclists down. And we proved that day that we are a larger community of pretty amazing, pretty tough, and pretty resilient people here in Grey Bruce. and we're proud to be part of that community. So thank you for our opportunity to come and say thank you for all you do to help us do this event, and we appreciate it very much.
Good, thank you.
So-
Others, questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. Jackie, I got to say, I love when you come to council because your energy is absolutely amazing. And so it's great that you're here, especially on Volunteer Day, because you do so much in the community, and you deserve a pat on the back, too, for everything that you do. So just again, I guess, just for clarifications, what day is it? If you're going to be registering, or if you want to donate, how can you do it?
Awesome, thank you for that. So it's Sunday, June 23rd, which is the last Sunday before all the kids get out from school, and ridedon'thide.com, and there's a whole list of all the 24 communities, but you pick the beautiful Grey Bruce Owen Sound, and that's how you register and how you donate.
Thank you.
Nice. And if it's okay, I actually set up my phone to be able to, if I can do this right, because I'm not very good at this. There. And I'll post that I was here.
Welcome to the 90s.
Yeah.
Again, I repeat what Councillor Dodd has said. You're thanking us, but we want to thank you, A, for enthusiasm, and everybody that you work with. It's just from the garden, all those things have come together that we wouldn't be able to put together as a city if you didn't put them together for us. So the partnerships work really well. I look forward to riding again. I rode last year for the first time in 21 years, and I was maybe a little bit sore the next day. It was fun. I may up it from 50 kilometers to something a little bit longer. We'll see, but really looking forward to it. So
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Number 10 is public question period. If there's any member of the public that wishes to ask a question, now would be the time. Seeing no one. We have no correspondence received. At number 12A, we have a report from Ms. Bloomfield with regard to noise bylaw exemption.
Thank you, Your Worship. Murray Cluza has submitted a request for a letter of non-objection and a noise bylaw exemption for an event occurring at Mudtown Station on July 27, 2019. The event will take place both inside and outside the restaurant, with the main bar and washrooms being inside. It's an over 19 event that will run from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. with live music and between 250 and 400 guests. In order to temporarily extend their existing licensed area, a letter of is that on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. A letter of non-objection and a landlord approval letter must be submitted to the AGCO. Ms. Cluza is also looking for a 1-hour exemption from the noise bylaw from 11 p.m. until midnight while guests leave the event. These two requests were circulated to various city departments for comment, and the request for the noise exemption was circulated to neighbors of the restaurant. No concerns were expressed from staff or the neighbors, which is why staff is recommending that council directs the city clerk to provide a letter of non-objection and a landlord letter of approval to the applicant for inclusion in their application to the AGCO, and for council to approve a 1-hour exemption to the noise bylaw.
Good, thank you. Councillor Hamley.
I'll move the motion.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? So that completes that matter. Somebody can send Deputy Mayor Wright back, or Wright. Man, I wonder how long I'm going to do that. Deputy Mayor O'Leary, who's may have some information, updates on Grey County Council's meeting. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a quick one. Council approved a staff recommendation to apply for federal and provincial funding for a roundabout at the intersection of Grey County Road 3 and 4, just east of Hanover. There was 2 other requests, one from Blue Mountain, one from Grey Highlands. Grey County Road 3 and 4 was chosen because of the high number of accidents at the intersection. And County Council approved a plan to have a climate change action plan. Students from University of Guelph contributed as their studies, as part of their studies, and did a presentation to County Council. Staff put $50,000 in the 2019 budget to create a plan. Thank you.
Good. Any questions? Seeing none. Down to number 13, which is the consent agenda.
Through your worship, on the consent agenda this evening is a report respecting the Canadian Forces use of the Billy Bishop Regional Airport, a report respecting an operating agreement for the Big Bay General Store mobile food business, a report respecting the Owen Sound Agricultural Society's 6th annual Barn Dance fundraiser at Victoria Park, and a report respecting the Owen Sound Gators slow pitch tournament at Duncan McClellan Park. There are staff comments on a Georgian Bluffs planning notice, minutes for receipt from the Owen Sound Housing Company and the Owen Sound Nonprofit Housing Corporation, and the Police Board. Several businesses received final approval, including Aloe Center at 227 8th Street East, Barefoot Law Professional Corporation at 930 First Ave East, Miss Fix-It at 248 11th Street West, Sizzlin at 229 9th Street East, and Perfection Clean Maid Services at 268 11th Street West. And lastly, there is correspondence, which is presented for the information of council. A full listing is available at 13J.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Larry.
Moved by myself, the City Council receives items 13A to 13J on the consent agenda dated April 29th, 2019, and further that the recommendations contained in reports 13A to 13D be approved.
Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. If we can go back to 13F and G, Housing Company. Can't remember who sits on it. I do. You do? Oh, Councillor Merton, anything to report?
Just a brief report. I'd like to address through you, Your Worship, both the items together. So today is a very exciting day and an exciting milestone. It is moving in day for the new tenants of the latest phase of Odawa Heights. This success has been a result of provincial and federal funding, the county for allocating the funds, and the municipality for their strong ongoing support of this initiative. Thank you to all. There will be another meeting, a special meeting scheduled of the Housing Company and the Nonprofit Housing Corporation to discuss future plans for available spaces, and we also await provincial direction regarding future funding opportunities.
Great, thanks. Do you know off the top of your head how many new units would be opened today?
I believe, I don't want to be inaccurate. I know we discussed it last meeting, but I'm thinking there's approximately 7 tenants going in.
Great.
So it's filled totally now. So we're looking for future growth.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none. Councillor Kepke, Owen Sound Police Services, anything to report?
Thank you, Your Worship. Statistics for the month of February. Major causes for collision were failing to yield a right-of-way and improper lane changes. 705 drivers were checked through 14 ride programs, resulting in 16 charges. Auxiliary unit contributed 141 hours. Drug enforcement continues to focus on fentanyl and crystal methamphetamine. 90 custodies were transported to the courts, and just over 1,023 hours were logged by special constables. 658 people attended the front counter at Owen Sound Police Services, and 1,390 bulk searches were completed in February. The board received a presentation on Next Gen 911 readiness from the IT department. Thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none. As we're down to number 14 in the agenda, 14A, minutes of community services meeting held April 17th.
Thank you, Your Worship. We had a deputation from Dr. Nancy Brown and Bill Moses regarding dog strangling vine on city property. This invasive weed can grow in forests, fields, and agricultural lands, so it can spread quite far and quickly. The vine is present alongside the Tom Thompson Trail on the Grey County land, and the Grey Salva Conservation Authority have been spraying this area twice a year since 2014 on behalf of the county. The weed has spread to city lands off 26th Street East alongside the Tom Thompson Trail between the soccer complex and the solar panel lands. Dr. Brown and their committee are looking for permission from the city to go on city property to do what they can to limit the spread. That will involve digging, tarping, and cutting. They will place tarps or old carpets over the areas with gravel on top of it to smother it out and keep it from flowering. Adam Parsons advised that the proposed approach is consistent with the best management practices in Ontario. We had a facade and structural improvement program application for 883 2nd Avenue East. The proposal on the front facade is to remove, repair, and reinstall the existing first and second story wood cornices, repoint the brickwork, and repaint the already painted brick. The proposal on the side facade is to install metal architectural panels with the exception of the rear addition, which will remain clad in vinyl. Planning staff support the proposed works, subject to a number of conditions that are incorporated into the recommendation. We had a New Year's Eve celebration wrap-up from Carly MacArthur. Both ice pads were open for skating. The YMCA opened their gymnasium and also created an obstacle course along the track in the fitness center for the kids. Scouts Canada offered wooden race cars to be decorated and raced. Clash the Clown provided balloon animals and hats. The city hosted a crafts table, a cookie decorating station, a dance zone, and a games area. The Owen Sound Skating Club offered food for purchase by donation, and the Sisters Cafe was supportive of the skating club and sold celebrity mocktail beverages. Big Brothers and Big Sisters volunteers were at each entrance to raise awareness for their organization, as well as collect donations on behalf of the event. This is a very popular event with 1,100 people in attendance. A countdown and balloon drop rang in the new year at 6:30 p.m. sharp. The budget for this event was $1,908, came in at $1,102, about $800 under budget. This is a very important event and couldn't have been done without the generous sponsorship from 3 local businesses: Elston Watt Barristers and Solicitors, Nickel Insurance, and All Things Tea. So big thanks to those sponsors. Manager of Community Development and Marketing, Brent Fisher, presented a report on minor sports groups' banner applications. They include Owen Sound Girls Hockey, Adam Double B Team, 2015 Provincial Silver Medalists. Owen Sound Girls Hockey Pee-wee A Team, 2014 Clearview March Madness Champions. Owen Sound Girls Adam Double B Team, 2015 Brampton Canadettes Tournament Champions. Owen Sound Minor Hockey Group Novice A Team, 2018 OMHA Novice East Champions. Owen Sound Minor Hockey Group Adam A, 2018-2019 International Silver Stick Vaughan Regional Champions, and Owen Sound Minor Hockey Group Adam A Team, 2019 OMHA Major Adam A Provincial Champions. And this last one is all one team. Owen Sound Minor Hockey Group Pee-wee A, 2019 International Silver Stick Regional Championship, 2019 International Silver Stick Provincial Championship, 2018 International Silver Stick Regional Finalists, and 2019 OMHA Pee-wee A Provincial Championship. So congratulations to all those teams, and thanks for putting Owen Sound on the map. These banners will all be placed at the Julie MacArthur Recreation Centre. The committee approved the following 3 recommendations for the Owen Sound Farmers Market washrooms: that the washroom remains closed except for the farmers market hours of operations, and to continue to provide public washrooms at City Hall Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Staff will continue to consult and collaborate with police services, public health, and other municipalities in an effort to find alternative approaches. Number 2, the staff initiate a conversation with the DIA to see if there's interest in a public washroom promotion partnership with downtown merchants. And the 3rd, that staff reevaluate the opening of the public washroom in the fall of 2019. I did initiate a conversation about the washroom at our public health meeting last Friday. Ian Reek displayed to the board the latest Sharps disposal container that is made of steel. That should help with the vandalism issue. Other suggestions made were to have better ventilation and to place a camera outside the washroom to monitor who is coming and going. These will all be up for consideration before reopening the washroom. And with that, Your Worship, I would ask that we approve those minutes.
Thank you. Questions? Go ahead, Councillor Gregg.
Thanks, Rabbi. I do have some comment on the item, which is item D1, that report. That's the farmers market recommendations. I wonder if we could vote on the minutes separate and discuss that secondly.
Okay, so that is, did you get the number? Okay. Any other comments? I'm going to go back to that invasive species. Before that meeting, I had never heard of dogs strangling vine. once I saw pictures of it, I think I've seen it. We all know around here what, what's the other one that's along the side of the water, Phragmites, thank you. How Phragmites has taken over the area so badly, and this has the potential of doing the same thing. If you go into your computer and go to invadingspecies, one word, .com, there is a display of several different invasive species, including dog strangling vine, and I encourage people to go in and have a look, and as they're out wandering around taking in nature in the area, if they see this and other invasive species, please, I guess, phone Parks would be the best department to phone. It's we're glad that this group was able to find this fairly early and are willing to, again, be partners. Again, we don't accomplish much without partners. This is great to have people step forward and want to try and get this under control, so we really appreciate it. So with that, I'm going to call the question on the minutes, save and accept the section that was referred to. So all in favor? That is carried. Now we're going back to, go ahead, Councillor Gregg.
Thanks, everybody. I don't have a particular concern with items 1 and 3 in the recommendation, but I do with number 2, and I think back to the night where we were provided the schematics for this building, and it was Councillor Lemon at the time noted that we were not including public washrooms in the redesigned City Hall. You know, what's going on at the Market Building is terrible, and what's going on in the community in terms of needles is terrible. But on Friday, I went to 16 different businesses, including three or four restaurants on 8th Street and 2nd Avenue. And unanimously, I heard back that public washrooms are the responsibility of the city. Those merchants I spoke to have all the empathy and compassion and common sense and decency in the world, where if their customers currently need to use the facilities, or somebody comes in during the Santa Claus parade and has to use the facilities, that they acknowledge the need and they assist them or they make them available. But to seemingly offload city responsibility on the public washrooms to the downtown merchants on Saturday afternoons or Sundays if they're open is not what I heard back from the merchants at all. They have no interest in this, and I have no interest in supporting a recommendation even to go to the DIA to pursue it. They don't want to be caught in the crossfire or crosshairs here. Just if somebody did partake in it, 16 businesses that I spoke to, they already assist their customers, but they have some places have there's security issues with their businesses. There's accessibility issues with their businesses. Some places are one-person shops. So people coming in off the street now detracts from their ability to run their business, and that's not right. So, I mean, it's our responsibility as the city to look after the problem, but I'm not in support of item 2, that we investigate a partnership, a promotion partnership with the downtown merchants.
I'm just going to put on the record so everybody knows, in case you don't have your minutes open, the clause that Councillor Gregg is opposed to is that staff initiate conversations with Downtown Improvement Association to investigate if there is interest in a public washroom promotion partnership with downtown merchants. So that's the part that you're opposed to. And so you've gone out and investigated before staff had a chance to go out and investigate. Is that?
I did, because I felt I don't need to even see this go to the DIA. I'm going to consult with some of the businesses already. I think I know the answer here. And I heard back what I thought I was going to hear.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify. I don't know who's going first. Do you want to go first? Travis? Councillor Dodd?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just my question would be, there would be no obligation for any member of the DIA to take part of this, would there be? There would not be. No, thank you.
Deputy Mayor O'Leary?
Through your worship to Councillor Gregg, You don't speak for downtown merchants. I don't care if you go and talk to 25 of them. There's a DIA board. So we can eliminate what you just said there. That means nothing. If city council decides not to ask DIA, that's one thing. So we can vote on that. But that's up to the DIA. The DIA may say, no, we don't want anything to do with it. But we can't make decisions based on you running around downtown asking 10 or 15 people. That's just ludicrous.
Others? Okay, so Councillor Thomas?
I think we need to keep our eye on what the real issue is here, and it's not where people are going to pee. The real issue, we have a serious problem with injectable drug use in this community that needs to be dealt with. You know, closing the Market washroom, we've come to a crisis point as far as I'm concerned. And it's happening in public washrooms all over town. It's a community problem, and there's going to have to be a community solution to it. And if everybody's got to step up and help out in whatever way they can, I think they need to be given the opportunity to do so. So while I understand what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, I think we need to stay focused on the issue at hand, which is injectable drug use in our community, rampantly out of control. And so I'm going to support keeping the motion in. I think that we at least need to be able to ask. People are welcome to decline if they don't want to take part in it. You know, everybody owns their individual business, and there's no problem as far as I'm concerned if you don't want to participate. But I think we need to give people the opportunity to help out.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering, in the discussion, there wasn't a time frame attached to obtaining information back from the DIA. This is a critical issue. I agree it's a community issue. It's a health crisis in our community. I would feel more comfortable proceeding if we could have a targeted, focused approach with time frame so that we can plan around response and develop additional action plans as required. I know staff are busy, but I'm wondering if this is an important enough issue to say, can this be considered a priority?
Just to get an answer for that, for Councillor Merton, I'm going to go back to Councillor Thomas and put him on the spot. I'm just sandbagging him. He doesn't know it's coming. At one of the council meetings, somewhere along the line, you and I have had a conversation. I quoted you at one of the committee meetings, and I don't remember which one, and we were talking about the issue of needle use in safe places. Do you want to? It's throwing it wide open, and we're going sideways from what we're discussing here, but I think there's two different issues that we're talking about here, and you'd already hit the nail on the head. So.
Well, I think you're referring to the conversation about what was going on at the library, and certainly...
And other places, yeah.
And other washrooms in town. Certainly at the library, we've had issues with used syringes being found not only in the downstairs adult washrooms, but upstairs in the children's washrooms. We've taken steps at the library to prevent this from happening again. But, you know,
Sorry, I hit the wrong
I'm sorry,
button.
I turned myself off, or did you turn me off?
Sorry.
Oh, so do I have to start at the beginning again?
If you want.
It's an issue. I knew about the Market washroom, and we started to have issues at the public library as well in all of our washrooms in the building. We've taken steps at the library to try to prevent this. We're being more vigilant. The police have been involved in helping us and giving us tips. And I think that, from my perspective, there's always been an issue, and I've talked to 3 past librarians who have said every once in a while you have an issue in the library, and I can remember one other time during my time on the board, but it's never been as bad as it seems to be now. And, I don't know what the answer is, but I think that we do need to either, we're taking the action we need to take ourselves, but I think that we really do need to look forward and try to find a long-term solution for this issue.
I'm still going to put you on the spot a little bit more, Councillor Thomas, because I think you talked about the long-term issue is that we need to discuss with Health Unit, maybe others, about a potential safe injection site, I think was what, I might be putting words in your mouth.
Well, I certainly think that, we've heard lots about safe injection sites. It's unfortunate then the current provincial government put the brakes on safe injection sites in the province as soon as taking office. And I don't know what the status of that is at present, but I know Councillor O'Leary goes to the health unit, but, my personal view is there should be some kind of a summit with all the players at the table to try to find a meaningful approach that we can all take together to deal with this issue in our community.
Deputy Mayor O'Leary may want to respond.
Yeah, so I did specifically ask that question at the health unit meeting on Friday because Councillor Thomas had mentioned it. So Dr. Eyre, I don't want to quote him exactly, but he said we're nowhere near the numbers. So, which concerns me. I know that you're passionate about this, Councillor Thomas, but you called it a crisis, and I think we need to discuss this with the health unit a little more, because I don't think Dr. Eyre will call it a crisis. I think our numbers are actually pretty low in Owen Sound, but we do have a problem with that washroom, and running away from it or isolating the city only is the wrong thing to do, I think. I think the more people we can involve and everybody pitching in and helping out, I think we're much better off. I know that when we close it, it's just going to pop up everywhere else, and that was the general consensus at the health unit.
Go ahead, Councillor Burton.
I think we're all agreeing that action needs to happen. My question is, who spearheads action? Who assumes the responsibility to move this forward so that we get the people at the table? Because I agree the health unit is a key player, police services, key players, mental health and addiction, key players. Who will take the initiative to move this forward?
Mr. Ritchie?
If I could, Your Worship, certainly staff have met with the health unit and some other partners on this issue. I will say time goes so quickly with everything that everyone is doing 3 or 4 months ago. I think this is typical of those decisions that ultimately fall to municipal councils, where no one's sure of the answer. We're all struggling with those issues. Other urbans within Grey County, I know, have issues similar to ours. And quite frankly, we need to wrestle with what our solution will be. I wish I could tell you today what it will be, but I think we are on the right track. Meeting with our partners, the health unit will be very influential in this, as will our emergency services. So I will get back to your original question. I believe the DIA meets on May the 6th. I could certainly have it added to the agenda that they may, again, be one of the partners in this. There are a number of solutions being looked at provincially, nationally, and even internationally. And I guess what I would say to you, through your staff here, we will provide to Owen Sound with all of the input from those, as well as the new community wellness initiative that's going on in the province, to come up with an answer that, or at least options. I don't want to say an answer. Options for council to look at. I have to be honest, they will come with budget attachments. Simple as that. But you will be provided with all of that information, all the background we can give you, and it's one of those cases where, unfortunately, I'm not sure there's a preferred option for you, but sometimes you have to make those difficult choices amongst 4 or 5 choices you really don't want to make. But if you don't make them, no one in this community will. So the answer is, ultimately, I think it will fall to very much input from this council.
Deputy Mayor O'Leary?
Do we have a motion yet? No? Okay, I would move the motion as is and ask that staff bring back a report on alternatives.
Let's do 2 motions if we could, because I don't want to confuse the minutes from the meeting.
Okay, I can move the motion then as is, and I know it hasn't been mentioned, but I think it's worth mentioning. Let's not forget what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with people with an addiction, people that are sick and need help. Thanks.
So the motion is on the floor, which is just adding back in the recommendation from the committee. And again, it's just to initiate a conversation with regard to public washroom promotion partnership. We're not talking about a safe injection center. We're talking about bathrooms. So further discussion?
I would just ask for a recorded vote.
Okay. Go ahead.
Councillor Dodd?
In favor?
Councillor Gregg?
Opposed?
Councillor Hamley?
In favor.
Councillor Kepke?
In favor.
Councillor Merton?
In favor.
Councillor Thomas?
In favor?
Deputy Mayor O'Leary?
In favor.
Mayor Body?
In favor?
Motion is carried with 7 in favor and 1 opposed.
So Deputy Mayor O'Leary, can I go back to you then and call for a second motion? I believe you started into, for a staff report back maybe to, should that go to a committee? Probably community services?
I would suggest community services for now, Your Worship.
For options regarding, go ahead, help me.
Thank you, Your Worship. Part 3 of the motion says that staff would reevaluate the opening of the washroom in the fall of 2019. And the idea was with the completion of the Downtown River Precinct, the area will really have had a facelift. We'll have some time to sort of change patterns. People will have got used to using the washroom here at City Hall. The area will be more open. It is signed now. The video surveillance from City Hall does pick that area up. We haven't noticed a real change in use here at City Hall, so it will give us some time to collect some data, monitor use, talk to our partners, and have those meetings. But certainly a report coming out of number 3 was certainly anticipated, and you could formalize that with a motion if that's your wish.
I don't think that's what I mean. I'm not talking about the bathrooms. I'm not talking about, to use Councillor Thomas's, where people pee. We're talking about what can we do with regard to the drug issues and having a safer place than our public bathrooms. Just because it's dangerous for people that are going in after, it's dangerous for people that have children, it's dangerous for kids in the library, it's dangerous. You know, do we have other alternatives with regard to where people are using needles? That's more what I'm thinking about than the bathroom.
So I would move that if you have the wording there. I think the big concern here is, and I already mentioned, the general consensus of the health unit was this won't go away by closing a washroom. It's not going to go away. It's going to pop up in other areas, as Councillor Thomas has mentioned with the library. So I would think that part of this is to put other places on high alert that, you know, we don't know where it's going to pop up, but it's not going to go away either.
Go ahead, Councillor Kepke.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, to staff, have we noticed problems at the Kelso Beach washroom or at Harrison Park or any other public spaces where there's a washroom, and are they only open when there's events on?
Through Your Worship, we're just getting those washrooms sort of opened up for the summer of 2019 season, so it's kind of early to tell. I'm not aware that we had incidents like we have with this washroom filed, though, last summer, so we'll certainly, again, be watching those in other locations throughout the city.
So the washrooms at Kelso Beach, are they open all the time or not just for events?
Through Your Worship, they are open on a timer. They are open during the summer months.
And they automatically lock on a timer. So, Ms. Bloomfield, what kind of a motion did you kind of cobble together there? We can clean it up. If everyone can give us a little bit of leeway, Councillor Deputy Mayor O'Leary has made that motion. It's you get the concept of it, and we'll clean it up tomorrow if that's okay. So I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Carried. Good. Thank you. So that gets us through all the community services minutes. So we're down to Economic Development, Tourism and Advisory. Councillor Dodd.
Thank you, Worship. We had a relatively quick meeting. We had a public meeting regarding the Retail Business Holidays Act. This is, we have received some interest from the community in exploring a bylaw under the Retail Business Holidays Act to permit certain businesses to open on statutory holidays. This is currently a provincial legislation that prohibits the opening of retail businesses on stat holidays. Now, there would be a process if council wished. We can make a a bylaw to help allow certain businesses to be open. For clarification, anyone who has interest in this, who would like to have a say in how the survey results are, is a survey that's open until tomorrow, and it closes at 4:30 p.m. So if anyone who does have an interest in this matter and would like to have a say, the survey is open until tomorrow, and this has been open for several months now. We got a report from Manager of Community Development and Marketing regarding a new tourism initiative, which was quite a creative idea. Back on March 22nd, Owen Sound, the City of Owen Sound took a booth at the OHL Guelph Storms game versus the Kitchener Rangers. This was a playoff game. This is something that we have always tried to put our marketing material towards a lot of individuals that are coming from Kitchener and Waterloo region, because they're able to more relate to where we are. And here was a perfect opportunity. Not only was it a hockey rival with both teams, but it was also a chance to really promote Owen Sound besides just being a hockey community. So during that, there was 3 pre-game PA announcements, a kiosk in the concourse. They were giving out handouts at the entrance and exits. City Hall staff, Melissa Cranny and Carly MacArthur, Carly, that is her name. Carly Furness was her original name. Anyways, were there to drop off the puck, and there was 4 30-second commercials throughout that were giving away, that were kind of broadcasting about Owen Sound, the art galleries, our downtown community. And it was just a really different marketing initiative that really got into the faces of the market that we want to get to. So I thought that was quite creative. We had another report, a verbal report regarding another video that was in our Moving Forward video series. This was regarding manufacturing in Owen Sound. Obviously, as we are all well aware, we have some big players like BWXT, Brotec, but we also have ones like McLean Engineering, who just did an expansion, and something like that they were trying to showcase that's 50 jobs with their new expansion. And some people always talk about how manufacturing in Owen Sound is declining, but if you look and follow what the new operations that have come to the community, we've actually got hundreds of jobs floating back into the community in our manufacturing sector. So this video is kind of highlighting some of our our businesses that are within Owen Sound that sometimes don't get all the credit that they deserve. We had a verbal report during a roundtable discussion. This was initiated regarding downtown storefronts being open on Sundays. There's always a general comment and concern from the public that there's never anything open on Sundays. Obviously, this is not a municipal decision. This is a business decision by the business owners in the downtown community. And if they feel that Sunday shopping isn't a profitable day for them, then they have chosen not to be open. Anyways, 3 individuals from our committee, James McGregor, Mike Camello, and Jackie Fertner, got together and wanted to kind of get a different perspective from that. They wanted to gather some stats and some information about why is it? Is it because it's not financially viable to be open on a Sunday, or is it just that because everyone else is closed on Sunday, so why would they be open? So they kind of created together and drafted a survey, which was passed along to the rest of the committee and was passed off to the DIA. To get some further questions, so a group of us can go door to door and ask those downtown storefronts, what is your reasoning for being closed on a Sunday that's different from being closed on a Tuesday or a Wednesday? And just that way we can everyone always says on Sunday mornings you wake up and there's only one place to grab a coffee when you're off to do your hike. So how do you kind of find that way of saying, maybe there is a group of individuals that would like to go to Frog Pond on the first Saturday or first Sunday, and maybe it's the Bean Cellar on the second Sunday, and maybe it's Best Coffee and Eatery for the third Sunday. But just trying to get a better understanding and having some actual factual knowledge and factual responses from our downtown storefront owners about their decisions on Sundays, because there's always that perception, outside perception of why Sundays are never open in downtown. So I thought that was a really creative, and those 3 members deserve a pat on the back for really getting in there, and they're members of the committee for a very good reason. They want to be a part of a moving Owen Sound forward and trying to find some new ideas onto pushing Owen Sound to the next level and making it a place where everyone is happy to be. With that, I would move approval of the minutes.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thanks. Then 14C, Minutes of Operation Committee. So Greg.
Thanks, Rabbi. We opened the meeting with, and actually, I'll just mention there's just a name to attach to the minutes. The mover in 4A was Councillor King, or it's not Councillor King, sorry, Member King. But we opened with a deputation from 2 residents on 4th Street A West. This is a concern that has came to council in the past, most recently in June of 2017. We had a similar letter. And as there's been more development occurring south of 4th Street A along 6th Avenue West, there's a concern there that traffic flow has increased and the speed at which is being traveled has increased. This is a unique street as it winds around a horseshoe bend, essentially, and comes out at 5th Street. So you have to slow down quite a lot, actually, to navigate the bends, but then there's concern vehicles are speeding back up again, and they're using this really as a shortcut traversing the city or as an alternative to 4th Avenue. One thing that we did have come out of the June 17 letter was some direction to the residents to contact the police department, and we learned through the deputation that police have outlaid some resources up there, including the sign monitor, which is very effective. It captures all the speed data as people are going by it. So staff has been asked to bring back a follow-up report on that deputation to look at some alternatives, look at the data that the police monitoring equipment may provide us with, and we'll see that again in the future. We had a review of the downtown loading zones. This is something that hasn't been reviewed in a great many years, actually. But as the 10th Street Bridge as we get closer to that bridge coming out, and we're likely to be looking at the detour options in the May meeting, this is alongside 2 requests from businesses on 2nd Avenue, one in the 800 block, one in the 900 block recently. That's what predicated looking at it, and the review, which also went to the DIA for input, finds the removal of a couple stops that are really old and redundant now. But there's 2 key additions. One is on the 800 block of 2nd Avenue East, where there's not one now. There's one on the 900 block of 2nd Avenue East, about halfway down the avenue. There is some stop removals along 8th and 9th Street. And there was some discussion, some concern about a particular removal on the 100 block of 9th Street East. I mean, we might refer that as the pizza delivery zone, as well as a delivery zone also used for offloading materials to the restaurants on 8th Street. Those 2 we had some discussion on, but the alternatives can be looked at and evaluated by staff because 8th and 9th Street will be primarily used to and relied upon to move a very high number of high volume of traffic in about 6 months' time. We had our 2018 wastewater treatment plant report, and this is something that will acknowledge the provincial government is going to increase the scrutiny or the oversight and the reporting that's required by municipalities back to the province on overflows. So we've got some of that information comes out of this 2018 annual report. Our average daily flow was 13,056 cubic meters per day. Our plant capacity is 24,545, so that's about 53% of what we can process. That's very manageable. We had 4 2018 overflow events totaling 24,263 cubic meters, which is lower than 38,000 plus in 2017, so that's positive. August 1st, I'll note, of the 4 events was a 1 in 100-year storm with over 100 millimeters of rain in a short period. So that's what contributes to that type of event. Our compliance with effluent limits was excellent. That was for our biochemical oxygen demand. Our total suspended solids has some slight exceedances, mostly in the summer, but the cause was identified and corrected. Our E. coli counts measured excellent. Actually, half of the results were under 10, and our objective is being 150 and the limit is 200. So half of them being under 10 is indeed excellent. Our new plant has increased biosolids by 45%, which also comes along with that a higher cost. But that was anticipated and that's been budgeted for. And it's also the first year where we've been treating our leachate from the Juneau landfill as well. So that's discharged into the system and then it's treated at our plant. And that's different than in the past when I believe we used to take it to Meaford for treatment. So there's savings in doing that. We had staff are to return a report identifying long and short-term options in reducing single-use plastics. We had a really good discussion around the table as to what can Owen Sound do. We're seeing other municipalities across the province, across the country, across the continent right now, evaluating what alternatives that they can come up with for the consumption of resources. We're all familiar with our recycling programs, and some will argue that they're effective, and many will argue that they're not. A lot of that volume just goes to landfill anyway. But at the end of the day, what we're really now starting to look at is actually what we're consuming, and can we reduce or consume less? Yes, we want to continue to recycle, but how can the city reduce and lessen its carbon footprint, I guess, for lack of another term. So we looked at things such as a potential ban on plastic bags. It could be on plastic straws. As Councillor or Deputy Mayor O'Leary mentioned, one thing you see around the countryside now is farmers using the plastic wrap, and that's all different from the days when I used to, crank that tractor horsepower all the way up and blow the silage 65 feet up into the silo. Now it's just become convenient to plastic bag everything, and it's just a one-time use. Another item could be looked at is signs, even as far as election signs, all one time, or maybe not one time, could be one time, plastic signs. So we've got a really a new environmental supervisor in the department who's able to grasp this project with a lot of enthusiasm, and we will see some long and short-term options come back to the committee and subsequently to council in the future as to what can the city do to reduce and improve the natural environment around us. We also had some discussion on an intersection at 18th Avenue and 16th Street East. We call this the Montana corner. As Deputy Mayor O'Leary pointed out, a lot of the volume on that avenue is turning left and making a westbound turn onto 16th Street. And because there's and it is a shortened or reduced turning lane, it causes some considerable backup. So we will get a follow-up report looking at some options there to move traffic a little bit more efficiently around that intersection. One of the alternatives could be a double left-hand turn lane, which many of us are familiar with because a lot of the traffic that's going eastbound is leaving the development, the store development. Winners is there. All sorts of stores are up there, but they're leaving at the east end of the property for that turn. So a lot of the traffic movements on 18th Avenue are turning left. And we also then had staff quick verbal report on our student passes for transit. The pass printing is to be done in the near future, and it was agreed to extend the student rate of $35 a ticket until December, and at that time we will have a more extensive rate proposal come forward from staff for consideration at all the rates. So with that, Your Worship, I would move receipt and approval of those minutes.
Thank you. Questions, anyone? All in favor? That's carried. Councillor Thomas, there's minutes of the closed session from the Tom Thompson Arc Hour, if you want to move those.
And I would move those for approval.
All in favor? That is carried, so that is through number 14, and the committee minutes for approval. Number 15, matters postponed, and we have no postponed matters. We have no motions for which notice was previously given. Discussion of additional business. Mr. Kafalis.
Thank you, Your Worship. Today was day one of the Downtown River Precinct Phase 1 project, which started today. This contractor moved on site. He's moving materials on site. We've closed the road to through traffic. It's open for local traffic. Staff is working with the businesses of the affected area, affected buildings that back onto First Avenue East. We've allowed, we're going to provide both employees of the employers and some of the residents with parking passes for the times they can access the back of the buildings where they normally park. As well, we've got 2 signs that were prepped thanks to Brent Fisher for the project. They're in the process of being prepped to be mounted, and that should happen tomorrow. Again, the anticipated completion of this project is August 31st, 2019. We also started the work on the Golden Horseshoe. Right now, the contractor is working on setting up a temporary water service for the buildings affected. So we're working with homeowners and businesses to ensure that we can meet their needs. There was an anticipated possible road closure for the intersection of 3rd Avenue West and 10th Street West. However, based on the forecasted weather, it looks like we're pushing that off until Monday. That'll be confirmed tomorrow, and once we identify the day that the road will be closed, we'll issue a media advisory and make sure things are posted on our website and through social media.
Good, thank you. Councillor Thomas.
Thanks, Your Worship. Probably most people are aware at this point that the provincial government has made a cutback to the Southern Ontario Library Service, and I just wanted to give a quick overview of what the impact of that might be on our library. SOLS, as it's referred to, it provides really support and training to libraries across Ontario, in addition to the Interlibrary Loan Service. And it was the Interlibrary Loan Service that was cancelled. So what does that mean for us? Last year, we borrowed in the Owen Sound and North Grey Union Public Library. Our users borrowed about 2,600 books from libraries across Ontario. These were books that we do not have in our own collection for the most part, and we actually loaned out about 2,800 books to libraries across Ontario. At an average cost of $30 per book, it would have cost us almost $80,000 to buy those 2,600 books that our patrons were able to borrow. That's if we could buy them. A lot of them are older books that are no longer available for sale. The ministry seems to think that e-books is the way to go, and I just wanted to say a word on e-books because they're really, comes right down to it, e-books are a scam. And we are paying through the nose for e-books, and we're really going to suffer if that's the way the ministry thinks we should go. Presently, an e-book costs the same amount as a hardback book, and publishers actually have calculated that a hardback book can only be read 200 times before being replaced, so your e-book times out after 200 reads and has to be replaced at full cost again. Even though nothing physical exists, nothing is being touched, but this is just a way to make money. And of course, libraries, because we're public institutions, actually pay more for these things anyway. So, and as I comment on the e-books and the ministry's comment that we should be going that way, and that they haven't cut funding to libraries, I just want to point out that of the $1.2 million budget at the Owen Sound and North Grey Union Public Library, $72,000 comes from the province. Their support for libraries is a joke, at best, right now. So to cut this service is hitting at the members of our community who can least afford to lose it. People who don't have internet access at home, people who don't have the ability, and I was commenting to Councillor Gregg before the meeting, it's not going to impact me because I can buy any book that I really want to have, as I have done in my entire life. But not everybody can do that, and we need to acknowledge that. So I would encourage people in our community, if they're concerned about this, the information is available on the library's website. Please let your local MPP know how you feel about these changes, and please, the information is there for the Minister of Culture as well. Send forward your thoughts on this. There's quite an upswell going on across the province to support the Southern Ontario Library Service. And I mean, you know, I'm trying not to go on too long. There's so much more I could say. I mean, Souls provides us with all of our training. All our staff training comes through Souls at a reduced rate. Every time we buy a book, it's delivered by the Souls courier system at a reduced rate than we would have to pay for postage. You know, our library catalog, which is run by Circe Dynex, comes to us through Souls as a part of a consortium buy. We could never afford it in Owen Sound. So there are so many implications from this activity, and ultimately the implications for us sitting around this table are going to be financial, because the costs are going to go up. You know, really what we're seeing here is a download from the province, and, you know, I would encourage members of council to as well speak to Mr. Walker and let them know how they feel about this change, because, you know, it goes against everything we know about free libraries and free access to information in this province. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kepke.
Thank you, Worship. Special Olympics and Law Enforcement Torch Run. Owen Sound Police Services, along with 50 other services, recently celebrated Special Olympics Week. A flag-raising ceremony took place along with recognition of longtime Special Olympics coach and supporter Terry Govier. The Owen Sound Police Services versus NHL Hockey Alumni Game fundraiser had an attendance of over 1,400 fans, and over $150,000 has been raised to date for Special Olympics by Owen Sound Police Services. The Polar Bear Plunge, also held recently for the same cause, saw 42 brave dippers who raised $17,800. Owen Sound Police Services was a leader in this event, which has now been run for over 20 years and has raised over $260,000. Over 23 police services now hold a similar event and have raised over $500,000 in 2019 already. Chief Ambrose was presented with a special recognition award for the many years Owen Sound has been a dedicated supporter of Special Olympics.
Good, thank you. Deputy Mayor O'Leary.
Thank you, Your Worship. On Saturday, April 20th, my wife and I participated in the Sydenham River Cleanup. It was put on by the Sydenham Sportsmen Association along with the city, Miller Waste, and Bayshore Broadcasting. We worked the East River Bank from 8th Street Bridge to the back of the Children's Aid Society and filled 3 garbage bags, so well worth the time. I think the waste watchers were at the north end doing the harbor. So thanks to all that were involved in organizing the event, and of course all that participated. This past Friday, I participated in the Walk for Food and Water event, and there was another great crowd there that took part in the walk, and many more that donated. I'd like to thank Jeffrey Robbins of Main Street Aveda, who started this event 11 years ago, sending water to Madagascar. I also want to thank Barry Crisselbrink, who got involved with this 9 years ago and was instrumental in bringing OSHARE on board with this event. As you all know, OSHARE feeds underprivileged people in Owen Sound. That has made a significant difference, as people can choose to keep their donation local if they wish. This year, they took in $76,000 for OSHARE and another $24,000 for WaterAid Canada. For the first time, that's a total of $100,000, and the money is still coming in. This really has turned into an incredible event. I'd also like to thank Councillor Thomas, who did the video of the walk. I think he worked harder than the people walking. He seemed to pop out from everywhere with his camera. So thank you to Richard and everyone who was involved in this very successful event.
Thank you. It's down to me. So I said I had 1 event, but I'm going to blow it back up to 3, if that's okay, if I can find them. Saturday the 20th, I attended the 4th Annual Earth Day presentation by the Grey Bruce Field Naturalists. Their guest was Doug Larsons. Mr. Larsons, or Professor Larsons, was the person that did the investigation more than 30 years ago and discovered the ancient forest that was on the side of the cliffs of the Bruce Peninsula. At some point there had been forest fires and logging that had removed trees on the top. These were on the side. Lack of water, lack of all kinds of resources, I guess, very, very small. And they would drill into them with micro, I guess, drills and take out a plug and count the plug to find out that some of these trees were 100 years old. Mr. Lawson spoke at the very first Grey Bruce field naturalist meeting 30 years ago, so it was fun having him back. This time he came with his homemade guitar and sang songs of and stories of nature and ecology. I also attended the, I've forgotten the date, doesn't matter, Brendan Rourke Memorial Inside Ride. They raised $30,000 for hospital parking to support kids with cancer. It's little things you don't think about. A family's away somewhere with a child getting treated, and the parking adds up day after day after day in larger hospitals down south, and it becomes expensive. So there was inside rides, I think from here to Windsor, whole regional. 30,000 was raised here by the Blue Water School Board through the school. A lot of kids, a lot of people participating. Great event. Congratulations and thank you to the Rourke family for organizing this event year after year. This past Sunday, yesterday, I attended the National Day of Mourning or to remember and honor those who have been killed or injured or suffered work-related illnesses. The Canadian Labour Congress started this in 1984. We do a proclamation. As you know, this is the only proclamation that the city does recognizing the day from the city each year. They've got 2017 statistics, nothing more recent, and it's staggering. There were 951 workplace fatalities across Canada in 2017 in 1 year. 23 workers were aged 15 to 24, so we're talking about first jobs, co-op students, young people. There were 251,508 claims for lost time injuries or illness right across Canada. So adding up, you're pretty quickly at about 253,000, my math maybe isn't good, but 253,000 people that are injured, become sick because of fumes and things, or died in the workplace. So the goal of the Memorial Day is to remind workers, to remind employers, to remind all of us to make sure that we've got good laws in place, that we think about safety when we go to work. And the one line that stuck out was every worker has a right to return home safe and sound at the end of each day, and I think we all believe that's important. So that was yesterday. Where are we? Motion committee, number 18. You don't have that.
Moved by myself that the Committee of the Whole rise and report.
All in favor? That is carried.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Thomas, that the action taken in Committee of the Whole in considering public meetings, deputations, and presentations, public question period matters arising from correspondence, reports of city staff, consent agenda, committee minutes, matters postponed, motions for which notice was previously given, and additional business be confirmed by this council.
And all in favor? That is carried. Motions to adopt proceedings, notice of motion, any? Seeing none. Bylaws, 21.
Through your work, the bylaws listed for approval on tonight's agenda include the confirmatory bylaw, a bylaw to stop up and close, and a bylaw to execute the necessary documents to complete the acquisition of property described as part of the 16th Street East Road Allowance and east of the 20th Avenue East Road Allowance. A bylaw to execute the necessary documents to complete the acquisition of property known as 832, 834, and 842nd Avenue East from Hallridge Holdings. A bylaw to execute an agreement with Georgian Landing respecting a waiver for payment of development charges. A bylaw to execute a site plan agreement and a bylaw to execute a servicing agreement, both with Sound Lifestyles Limited for property at 2380 9th Avenue East. There are several bylaws to execute the 2019 Household Hazardous Waste Program municipal participation agreements with Chatsworth, Georgian Bluffs, Grey Highlands, Meaford, and West Grey. And lastly, there's a bylaw to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Dog Strangling Blind Management Volunteers.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Thomas, that bylaw numbers 2019-066, 067, 068, 069, 070, 071, 072, 073, 074, 075, 076, 077, and 078 be passed and enacted.
All in favor? That is carried. That completes our business for this evening. It is 8:20. We're now adjourned. Thanks, everybody.